Hello and welcome to Sunday. And you know what happens on a Sunday? It's a Sunday roast with your two favourite Arsenal fatties. It's me and Mike. Howdy doody, Mr. Feinberger.
Hello. Happy Super Bowl Sunday to you. Happy Sunday roast. Not the best name of a show for someone who's just embarking on a massive diet and exercise program, because it makes me think of going to a pub on a Sunday evening and plunking down 15 quid and having an incredible meal, which is making me salivate. But it gets the what do you call it, the thing with the metabolism going. So this, how are we gonna describe this show? It's kind of Arsenal in that we both love Arsenal and we like to talk about Arsenal, and it's kind of a lot not, right?
No, it's not going to. I'm just doing a tweet. I haven't gone silent. We are live. There you go. Select all that and copy it and add the thing in the bottom. Yeah, we just thought the other day after doing the preview game against Wolverhampton Wanderers, come on the Wolves, that we actually did an hour rather than 25 minutes. And then after we went, we didn't even do our fucking predictions, did we? Or our lineups or anything other than that shit.
I predicted Wolves to lose 1-0 and for us to go down to 10 men.
You were wrong.
Well,
how do you feel about that?
I will let the score do the talking for me. But yeah, we just we spent about 3 minutes talking about the game and about 57 minutes talking about anything but the game, and kind of seemed like a show could come from that. So we obviously we have chemistry because we modeled ourselves after each other physically, mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
And so, I guess we could say at the outset that we're going to try to have kind of an underlying topic that is loosely related to Arsenal, and then
I think you had the idea, didn't you, that just getting people in the chat, just tell us what to talk about, because it's not hard to get an opinion out of us about anything. There's a few things we should really avoid: garlic, onions, and frogs.
Oh, I love all three of those. They also taste like chicken. But yeah, if anyone has a topic they'd like us to cover, please put it up in the chat. Today, obviously, we're about an hour away from the FA Cup of American football.
Don't steal my words, boy.
Sorry. And it actually, in a tangential way, relates to Arsenal today. So when I first met you, I was surprised to hear that you not only have an American football team, but are pretty well into them, and that it's the Miami Dolphins. Why? Tell us the story why, because it's been 5 years and I can't remember shit from 5 minutes ago.
Well, back in the 1980s, it was cool to like all things American before you turned into land of the free. Oh no, you're all locked up, not allowed to go out and play anymore. And so not an After Dark Thunder. We don't do any of that nonsense anymore.
It may start to kind of reflect that.
You're not drinking, so it's all going to be okay. That's then I had to pick a team, and then I think that was around the time that in fact, I don't know why I picked the Dolphins, because I used to think it was when Dan Marino was in the Pet film with Matey Boy.
Oh, with the Ace Ventura thing?
That's it. Oh. But that probably didn't come out until way after I started supporting the Dolphins. I think maybe just because I liked. In fact, I don't even like dolphins. They're vile creatures. Actually, I better not say that.
What year was it?
I'm just about to find out what year it was. Pet Detective came out in.
No. What year did you start liking the Dolphins?
Early 80s, mid 80s. I think it was in the UK. We had Channel 4, and Channel 4 was a new station. So we only had BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV, and that was it. We had 3 stations. So when the 4th one came in, they tried all kinds of new things, and then one of them was to bring in.
Was the host of that show? I remember when I lived there. I mean, obviously at that point I was still craving American sports more then than I do now, and I used to stay up late to watch Mick Luckhurst on Channel 4. Doing the game of the week.
And the Dolphins. Oh, I know. I just found out why.
Mid-80s, the Dolphins were
1984. 1984, the Dolphins were in the American FA Cup final.
Yeah.
That's why.
Well, they were in against my team, formerly known as the Washington. not allowed to say it. Now known as the Washington Commanders, which is, it's weird. Like, imagine if
they're called Commanders now.
As of last week, they are the Washington Commanders. After 2 years of being the Washington football team, they're now the Washington Commanders. You won't like that political correctness. I actually appreciate it, but
are you?
It's a dumb name.
American? Are you Native American?
I am not Native American.
Well, I am. I had my DNA test done.
You're Native 0.5%.
I am 0.5%. So
that's like when I stupidly used to call African people or black people, depending on where their heritage is from. I used to, joke that they're African American, but like when they live in England, they're not African American. And I guess I told the story wrong, but I went over there with my son once, and he's like corrected me once when I said that's a black person. He said, no, it's an African American person. I said, no, they're not American at all. So anyway, that was we're going to get canceled after about 5 minutes of the show.
Well, you're wrong in so many ways, because in 1984, they lost to the 49ers.
Well, they did. They 1983 or 1982, whichever. Super Bowl 17, they lost to Washington. And then the following year, they lost to the 49ers.
Oh, they lost 2 finals in 3 years.
They did.
Oh, I should have supported earlier. That could have been a whole nother 2 years of absolute thinking.
And I don't think that they've even been remotely relevant or close since then.
Oi, I'll have the Dolphins have just done back-to-back winning seasons, and then they fired their manager.
And then sacked their coach because of something truly racist, unlike what I was just saying.
It always goes down the same path with you, doesn't it? You're always trying to flag wave and get some kind of kudos for pointing out some kind of hipster thing.
Am I?
Have you frozen?
Am I, Danny? No. I was frozen by that vile attack on me that you just did. So all right. So the Dolphins haven't been relevant for years. My team hasn't been relevant for years, but we do have a team playing in the Super Bowl that is Kroenke owned, and I've never seen so much angst and discussion and misplaced and properly placed anger as I have in the last 2 weeks. It's absurd. So
I hope they lose, but I don't care. It's not gonna make any difference to me.
My favorite thing is the people that are saying that if they win, they'll have more money to spend on players, and they'll it'll be encouraging. I mean, I don't necessarily know that winning isn't going to give them the taste for winning, and that might potentially help down the line. I have a feeling they really don't care one way or the other. Winning the Super Bowl will be nice, but I don't think that's going to really kind of make him or them push any harder than they already are at Arsenal, which you could argue how hard that is. But I just like the part about the prize money. I mean, there's literally virtually nothing that the ownership team gets for winning the Super Bowl. He gets more for hosting the Super Bowl, which is a coup in and of itself.
Didn't you say this back-to-back American FA Cup finals where the team have got to the final were hosting it?
Yeah, last year Tampa Bay was hosting it. This year the Rams, and it's the first and second time that's ever happened. Yeah, the Dolphins went in Super Bowl 17 and 19. You're right. There was the Dolphins or the Washington and Oakland played in 18. And when Washington played against the Dolphins, Marino hadn't been drafted yet. It was Don Strock and who's that other guy? It wasn't Greasy. It was anyone come on? You should know who the quarterback was before Dan Marino.
Oh, it was Brad Kowalski.
Exactly.
Bergstein. That's him. That's the one it was. I couldn't name, if you put a gun to my head, I couldn't name a single NFL player apart from the one who's just retired, the one who does the throw-in.
Tom Brady.
That's him. Oh, actually, I'll change that to 0 then.
You're a Dolphins fan who doesn't know anybody who plays on the Dolphins.
I bet you've got something to say about that.
I at least know a few people that play for Sutton United. So
get promoted.
They are in the
playoffs.
They could be League One. They could be League One by this time next year.
So where'd they get the name Commander from? Where was the thing? And how comes Jeep don't have to change their name? The Jeep Cherokee. Why don't they have to change that name?
Well, no one has to do anything. Kansas City Chiefs have kept their name. The Cleveland Indians, I believe, are in the process of changing their name. There's a lot. I mean, there are so many Native American sports names, and some teams not only have the name, but they also like kind of
the
chants and the like they're what's the cultural appropriation. And
that's just a fad, though, isn't it? That's just a fad of people finding stuff to get angry at. In 10 years' time, they'll look back at this era and go, "What were you fucking idiots doing? Just get on with it."
See, this is people think that we're twins, but this is where you and I differ. I'm a bit more of a snowflake than you are, and
I take offence to nothing, and most people should be that way, and then it'd be all okay.
No. Speaking as a guy who's been in an argument with Spurs people on Twitter all week about the Y word thing, I can't say the same for my.
Mike's internet, he's got 1,000 terabytes of internet, and it still keeps full. Oh, you're back. You paused again.
Sorry, I hiccup a lot, and I just didn't pay for the upgraded internet. I'm not going to do that until I'm sure that this show is going to actually make it.
Divyan says it's Monday where he is in India. Who won the Super Bowl, Divyan? If you can tell us, put some money on it.
Please, I do have some money on it. I got to make sure that I put that in before the game starts. So if you're in Australia or India, please let me know.
Who you betting on?
That's an interesting idea. Philly Eagles fan because of Always Sunny. Now, Always Sunny is a show about the stupidest, most disgusting, hilarious people you could possibly meet, and so if that's what made you love the Eagles, other than that, the city, not a fan. The team is disgusting, but the fans are horrible, absolutely horrible in Philly.
Well, I like the film Philadelphia with Tom Hanks. It's very good.
Well, it isn't about the Eagles, I'll tell you that much. Back to the Future. Is this a subject that you want us to talk about, or are we just?
We have got a question from someone
talking about the.
We have Drago has said that he tried to get me to support one of his Bulgarian teams earlier. I ain't supporting a team I can't pronounce. He says NFL game we played in Munich. Do you think the sport will take off on the old continent? On the old continent.
It kind of it's weird because they did have NFL Europe.
Yeah,
maybe
London Monarchs. We also tried an indoor NFL thing, and Channel 4, the NFL and Channel 4 ran a competition to get tickets to go to the NFL indoors. It's smaller side teams, and I won it. And I actually went. I think I was the only person who went. So me and my dad drove to London, and we watched this indoor NFL stuff with less players.
Where was it? Like Ali Pali? Is that big enough?
I think it was in the Docklands.
Oh, okay. NFL, the London Monarchs. There was a team in Germany. There was at least one team in Germany. So there there was more than likely a team in Munich. There was a team.
Doppelgangers.
There was a team in Dusseldorf. I mean, and it didn't take off, and I'm a little bit surprised by that. But I'm looking up right now to see. It was founded right when I was over there. We had.
Breaking news, Mike. Rams won. Kroenke has now won the American football. He's selling the Rams and pumping all the money to Arsenal. We win in the Champions League next season. Well, there you go, people. Divyan knows because it's Monday. There you go. Put your money on it.
Hell to the yeah. That is fantastic. So yeah, the World League
Barcelona Dragons.
That was the World League of American Football. That was before actual NFL Europe. They tried it. I think the timing was all wrong. Early 90s, mid 90s, Amsterdam Admirals, Cologne Centurions, Frankfurt Galaxy, Hamburg Sea Devils. So there were literally 3 German teams, and the whole thing just fell apart in 2000s. In 07, is that what we say?
07. And I don't like people who say O. I make a point of when I'm telling you numbers, I say 0, not O. And if you say O, like my phone number begins 007. No, it's got 007 in it. Would begin 007. That's crazy. And I always say 0, and I don't say 00. Does it ever annoy you when you say your mobile phone number? In Americans, you can stop saying cellular, my cellular phone, and people in this country stop saying mobile phone. Just call them phones. Because when was the last time you used your house phone?
I don't. I worked it out, and now we've lived in this house for 23 years, and I had to look at my watch. Yeah, 23 years.
Got a clock, especially for it.
We used to have, it's like the national debt clock or something like that on the wall. How long have we lived in this? And of course, when we moved in, there was no, the cell phones were pretty rare, mobile phones pretty rare, becoming more popular. But so we had a phone number, and the phone number, which is not our phone number anymore, I can actually tell you, and this is how mature I was even when I was 24 and 25 years old. 703-404-6969. Seemed like they're like, do you want a memorable last 4 digits or you just want random? And I'm like, give me something memorable. They're like 6969. I'm like, take it. And then we had kids who had to give their phone number to their friends when they were 6 and 7 years old, and it kind of got old. So when we switched from DirecTV over to Fios, we got a brand new number, and from that point on, I'm like, I don't even need to know what the number is, because there's 3 people that call that number. It's my mother-in-law, my wife's cousin, who's like a sister to her, and my mom when she's trying to reach my wife. Anyone else, they know to reach me on my cell phone. And I actually hate talking on the phone. Do you know how much I hate talking on the phone?
No.
It's weird. I do that. I do it for a living. I have clients that I call all the time. But so I think I've gotten jaded to where if it isn't meant to like make money for me, or if there isn't a purpose to it, if it's just for small talk or checking in or something like that, I would so much rather just text or WhatsApp. That I hate personal phone calls. Honestly,
the only person I spend any amount of time on the phone to is this fellow. Every couple of months we ring each other. The last one was about 2.5 hours.
Really?
I still don't know what he wanted.
Were you guys scheming against AFTV together?
We don't talk about that. Let him get on with it. Yeah, but my waffle saying, do people still have landlines? My one, in the UK, you can't have a internet connection without having a landline phone number, because that's another way they can charge you. Like my internet cost me £25 a month. It used to be 10 as part of my Sky package, but I fucked all of the Sky stuff off, and now I don't have I still have it, but it's not plugged in. There's not even a phone in the house to plug it in. There hasn't been for about 4 years. And when I was getting my phone number, I told them I was dyslexic, and so they had to give me an easy phone number. So they gave me 414040, and that still works, people. But there's no phone connected to it, so you're never going to get through.
Yeah, we have a landline, and the original reason for still having a landline was our alarm system used to be connected to, like our home alarm used to be connected to the landline as a way of notifying the police if someone's broken in and we don't respond. So, that was a great. That visit's looking even more appropriate this week. But so, and my wife, she's a little old-fashioned. My wife is wonderful, beautiful. I've outkicked my coverage. I'm punching. I didn't look like Danny when I met her though. So, you have to give me that. But she's not really like technologically sound. So she still wants a landline. It just makes her feel comfortable. And frankly, when you bundle together the internet and the television, the phone ends up costing like $9 a month or something like that. So it's really kind of.
Loki says he's had the same phone number since 1994. My number, it's changed slightly, Loki, because they changed it to 07 for mobiles. But me and Sean's mum went down to Argos in 1996 and he got consecutive phone numbers, and I've still got that number. And she lost hers.
Mine's been a long time. I'm not sure about 1994, but actually 94 I was still in college. I didn't have a mobile phone. But this is fascinating. So you said you're rooting for the Bengals?
Me? Yeah. Well, I'll be watching it. I don't really care who wins. I found in life it usually makes very little difference who I want to win, because it doesn't always happen.
Yeah, I mean, picking someone you want to win when you don't generally have an underlying reason, to me is I can't force myself to be enthusiastic about something. It has to happen naturally, or there has to be a reason. So that's why I gamble on games that I don't generally care much about, because it's honestly the only way to keep it interesting. And the NFL is probably the best sport to gamble on. I will give it that. It's the best sport for fantasy. It's the best sport for daily fantasy, which is something I've done a lot this year, where you pick a team for a particular game or a particular block of games and try to pick the players that are going to get them. You know what fantasy is, but it's a daily thing rather than a weekly or a an entire season thing. But I don't like the game at all. I've fallen so far out of love with American football. It's laborious. It's ponderous. There's
laborious so and ponderous.
It's 15 minutes of play in 3 hours of televising. But then something comes along like the playoffs this year, and I've never seen, maybe the last 8 games consecutively have all been some of the most exciting games I've ever seen. So
why don't they just play the last 3 minutes, start at that point, and then get the whole thing over and done with in half hour?
You could do that. That's really the best. I mean, the best part of the game is you just check in the fourth quarter, and if it's close, then you watch. If not, then you didn't miss anything. And the only thing worse than watching NFL on television is watching it in person. It is.
Have you been? I take it.
Awful. The visuals, the perspective, it doesn't really matter where you sit. It's just not entertaining to me. And then you want to think that drunk people are a problem in sport overseas. The amount of drinking at NFL games, because the game starts at 4:00 or 1:00, or evening games start between 5 and 8 o'clock. They're there from 9 a.m. And it's similar to going to the pub and then going into an Arsenal game, but I mean the vomiting and the fighting is out of control now with the NFL.
We never hear about that here. Oh, the way that the UK see that is that you all turn up about 8 hours before the game starts. You get the flatbed truck, and then you have a barbecue, and everyone sits around drinking beers at 1% alcohol. You drink 30 or 40 of those to get a bit tipsy, and then you all go in. You wear a hat made of cheese. You eat your own weight in shitty food, and then you sit there for 4 hours until the game's over.
Well, but if you're lucky, then the last NFL game I went to was a playoff game with Washington played Seattle, and it was probably 9 years ago, and a long time for us to get to the stadium. It's on the complete other side of Washington, D.C., and the public transport is shit. So, it takes forever to get there. Then you get there, and the parking lot is a mess because of everyone drinking and throwing football around and stuff like that. Then we get into our seats, and we're surrounded by other Washington fans, and there's a cover over this section. So the people in the front rows of the section, which we were, it was like a level up, and then we were in the front row of the section, could see just fine. But the people towards the back, if we were standing up, they couldn't see anything. So I get that. I actually went the one time I've been to Anfield, I was sitting with the away Watford supporters as a neutral, but we waited to the last minute to get tickets, and it was in the very last row of the away section, and everyone was standing the whole time. We couldn't see. I don't feel like I've been to Anfield, and it was the game that Salah scored 4 goals against them, and I didn't see any of them. But anyway,
so there's violence at games.
Sorry,
there's violence. What, in the games or outside?
Both. My point is that because the people sitting in the back couldn't see when the people up front there was yelling. And of course, some of the people in the front were drunk off their ass and they were yelling back. And then there was fighting. And my son, who was 9 at the time, we had to leave the game at the beginning of the fourth quarter just because he was crying and scared. And I haven't been back since. Gav, is there home versus away fights or free for all? First of all, they don't segregate. They don't segregate.
Like you a lot.
They don't segregate. They don't segregate based on race, religion, creed, or fandom.
Nah, you're making it out. That's bullshit.
So
you make the Canadians sit in a separate part?
How would you know? Unless they talk.
Facing the wrong way? I say that. I only know what 2 Canadians, and I had a 20-minute audio message from Canadian Jeff today, and it made me happy.
Oh, he's a nice guy.
He's a lovely man.
He does. He's the only
I don't understand you lot taking the piss out of the Canadians. The Canadians are nicer people.
Oh, they're much nicer people. Jeff and I are the only people to sit in that lovely abode of yours, aren't we?
You certainly did, and they still haven't got the stink out.
From when I coughed and gasped when I was sticking a swab down my throat. Hold on, I want to answer these questions in order. This is good chat participation, but I want.
Well, I'll save this question for later, and we'll go back up to Gav's question. Where is it?
So they I mean, if you can buy tickets just about anywhere. So if there are certain rivalries. Let's put it this way: when the Eagles and Washington play, I almost said it. When the Eagles and the Commanders play, the Eagles fans come down. They buy tickets anywhere that they want, and there's just fights because they've been drinking all day in the afternoon. They're not going back that night. I mean, they don't come down from Philadelphia and then drive home and watch what they're drinking. They get a hotel and they stay and they vomit. And so, yeah, I mean, sometimes the fights are about rivalries, but in this situation that I'm describing when I was with my son, it was 2 Washington fans fighting with each other over, blocking their view. And sometimes it just doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what they're fighting over because they're too drunk to realize it, which, in my day, I used to, be into that kind of thing. But now if you're with your child, it was not a good format of fan to be at. So it's the one good thing, I suppose, about not being able to drink in the seats in England during football is that you don't have as much of that happen. I do hate, though, that you can't drink within eyesight of the pitch. Like, one thing to be in your seats and drink and have 2 drinks with you, and then it spills, and then you throw up on somebody. But I mean, you can't even stand in the portal with a beer and watch, which drives me crazy because it hampers my style. I end up missing half the game.
Well, Gav's probably got a way around that. He was probably had to bring in a couple of Watner's 8-packs. I think that's Watney's big barrels of beer when Gav used to go to games, because he was he'd strutter them. He'd go around and chin a lot of them.
Ola, when we went when I went with Canton and Ola to the Watford game, the famous Czech saved the penalty game, he had like 2. He was covered in flasks. And he didn't share, which is that's not very nice.
Well, that's Olaf for you. He's too nice. There's a lot of love here for the Eagles. Why are people going on about Eagles?
I think Loki was the one who said that before too. So I don't know that it's a lot. It just seems like a lot.
Romy says that as well. Eagles.
The Eagles a couple of years ago had a massive Arsenal fan. Jay Ajayi played for them when they went to and won the Super Bowl. And that's the only nice thing I can say about the Eagles.
Well, we've got another question. Let's go and not that one. Go up here. It is from Jordan Boy Adventures. Sounds like a jolly fellow. What are your views on climate change? Are we all going to be underwater in 5 years? Should I buy a beachfront property? Well, views on climate change: stop burning shit. We're the only ones who are going to lose out long term. So just fucking behave. It's all about money, isn't it, Mike?
You want me?
Oh, he's frozen. We're never going to know what he said. It could have been really important. Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, start that again.
Underwater in 5 years? No. Add number of zeros to that. But yeah, it's I think you'd be okay buying beachfront property, because by the time it's impacted, you'll be long gone. We've just bought a house that's 15 minutes from the beach.
And by the time you get there, it might only be 5 minutes from the beach.
See, I mean, that's called planning ahead. We invested in beach property that by the time we're 60 or 65 years old, it will be beachfront property, and we won't have to go anywhere.
So as for climate change, I am I've been doing recycling for many, many years. I think recycling is important, but we all know in the UK that you do spend all your time recycling, and they get it all and they put it all in the same bloody place because they cannot be bothered. Because the people who are in charge are only in charge for 4 or 5 years at a time, and they want to make themselves look as good as possible in that short length of time and then pass the problem on to somebody else. So until somebody in the UK takes a long-term view of this, a 100-year view that they all have to stick to, but then again, what's the point? Because if the UK went completely green and everyone had electric cars, and it was all done perfectly, we're about 2% of the world's pollution. It's places like China and India and Russia. They're the ones because they're emerging economies. You're not going to go to them, oh, well, us in the UK and us and you lot in the USA, when we were an emerging economy, yeah, we burnt and chopped down everything. Oh, but now you're an emerging economy. You're not allowed to do that. No, that's not fair. So it's never going to change, and we're all fucked.
I struggle with recycling because, I mean, I've seen reports. I don't know how true they are, but like when you recycle, you have to recycle exactly like you're supposed to recycle, or it's a complete waste of time. And now I could be wrong about that. And I'm generally a supporter of, if you can't do something perfectly, at least try to do it as perfectly as you can. But like if you have a bin full of bottles and there's more Philly. If you have a bin full of bottles and they're not, like, if you didn't take off the thing that's attached to it that stays on when you unscrew it, or if you don't take off the twist cap I mean, there's such a high standard of what is actually recyclable and what ruins something from being recyclable that it's really hard. And, I obviously, I think there are ways in addition to recycling that you can help save the earth, but we do recycle, but I don't have any confidence that the stuff that we send out is able to be recycled properly. But I feel better sending it out, and that's really what it's all about, isn't it?
We have these big bins. If you stood in it, it'd probably come up to your nipples ish. And we have you're meant to have one for garden waste. I don't have that. I pay a gardener. We have one for household waste. We have one for recycling. My household waste one is never more that we get it. Our bins collected every 2 weeks because the government are scumbags. But our house that household waste is usually a quarter full, and I have 2 recycle bins, the same size, and I usually fill them up and I recycle everything. And it probably makes very little difference.
You don't take all your rubbish over to White Hart Lane?
So they've got enough shit going on there. They don't need my help.
No, I mean the street about.
Oh, the street.
Yeah, you live around the corner from White Hart Lane.
Yeah, I do. There's might get stalked now. Good luck to you. I mean, just let me know if you come and I'll just open the door and shout at you.
Well, I didn't say in which direction. So I've narrowed the focus of stalking Danny's home to a.
There's so many roads and houses in all many directions you'd never bloody find it. So this Joe Rogan has done a podcast with a bloke talking about climate change. And
let me just take all that as gospel.
Well, he's a climate change expert that the American government hired to give advice on climate change. And the gist of it is, fuck it, we'll be all right. But you're not going to do it because humans are essentially, in essence, selfish assholes. And the higher you get, the richer you get, and the more power you have, the more of a selfish arsehole you want to get. I mean, look at that Amazon tax dodging scumbag. He doesn't own Google, so we'll be fine. So the amount of when's enough money? When are you enough? How can you be have $200 or $300 billion and never go? Well, that's about it. That'll do me. I don't need any more. As much as we take the piss out of Bill Gates, look at the amount of money him and his wife have given. I mean, they're both scumbags as well, but they give loads of money away. But all these, like, who was it? There was some. Was it DiCaprio has got a boat and he's very keeps going on about the climate and all that other stuff related to it, and he's got a boat that uses 500 gallons of fuel per hour.
Hypocrisy makes the world go round, Danny, and we even see we see a lot of hypocrisy. I mean, fortunately, the Arsenal fan base is free of hypocrisy in any way, shape, or form. You never
and no
see
knee jerking.
No knee jerking. It wouldn't be an Arsenal podcast even circumstantially if we didn't mention that Spurs are just at a tailspin, and it makes me so happy. And I get in a lot of arguments with people who are friends of mine, and we argue, and then but this Conte thing. Did you ever? I mean, you must have talked about it on your pod when it happened, but did you think it was going to work? I mean, I'm not going to talk about it like it's over and done.
18 months. That's all you needed to know about that.
I couldn't agree more. 18-month contract is something that favors Conte in every single way, and I was told it was an ambitious hire, and that depends on your definition of ambition. I call it desperate. It was, finally Conte was going to come in and whip that team together. He was going to convince Kane that he wanted to stay. He was going to do this, going to do that, and get them back up. In the last 2 months, they're 10th in the table. See, now we're back to talking about football.
Well, I thought it was fun. If I could have been bothered, I'd have gone and done the research, and my tweet would have gone, Conte took over, 9 games undefeated. Then the next time would have been the date, and then it would have been unbeaten away, and then it would be the next one, unbeaten at home, and then the next one, never lost more than 2 games in a row, and then it would be the next one, fuck it. For the first time in Conte's career, he's lost 3 league games in a row. Happy Spurs Day, everybody.
Yeah. I mean, and so to me, it's the Premier League has to be recognized as being the most difficult league to dominate. And legally, for sure, yeah. Look, props to Manchester City. They doped. They have cheated to an extent, but they've done it smartly. And
they rohypnoled FFP and then buried it in a shallow grave.
And they've only ever bought one 100 million pound player. Yeah. So it's not that there's been a ton of them, but it's not like they constantly. I mean, they're not Real Madrid and Barcelona just buying the most expensive players and then flushing them down the toilet 2 years later. So
Spurs have got Man City next.
Yeah.
4 in a row. 4 in a row.
4 in a row. 4 in a row.
Well, people they'll screen grab that and go, the Bushwhackers are back.
But look at the managers or coaches that are struggling right now in recent months. Tuchel's struggling in recent months.
Yep.
Benitez is gone. The only team that guy could beat was some North London team with a striker that can't hit the goal from a foot away. Who else is struggling right now? We got Brendan Rodgers.
West Ham are struggling a bit. They've had Leicester. They're on their arse.
Yeah, I mean, so my point isn't that Arteta is. I mean, I say all that in support of Arteta, but not because I think Arteta's a better coach than these guys are. My point is, Premier League's pretty tough. So maybe when we lose a game or 2 in a row, maybe when we slip up and draw against Burnley or Brighton when we shouldn't, or God forbid we lose to who do we lose to? Everton. I mean, it sucks, but it's a 38 game season, and so everybody, all of a sudden now we have no excuse not to finish 4th because all the teams around us are shit. That's the latest one. They're shit.
Now that we're games in hand, FC.
Yeah. West Ham's shit.
Those 2 games in hand are against Liverpool and Chelsea. So
we have 3 games yet to be rescheduled: Liverpool, Chelsea, and Spurs. The rest of the other 13 games are not necessarily easy, but they're not super. I mean, they're games that we should be in with a chance to take either 1 or 3 points from. And we nick something out of those 3 rescheduled games, and I mean, I don't doubt that we could put up a fight against Chelsea, and I don't doubt that we could put up a fight against Spurs. We should. So, what's the third one? Liverpool. All right, we go and we have them at home. Who knows? My point is, all these experienced people. It's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot, and Rodgers and Moyes and all those people are much probably closer to losing their dressing room in the sense that they know what these guys are about. So when things start falling apart for them, it's gonna start going quickly. And I don't think that that's happening with Arteta. So not saying Arteta's better than these guys. I'm just saying there's really very, very little difference between them. So why be defending those other guys and being in a rush to?
Plus, they're all in cups.
Yeah.
She's good. Right, got another question. People, put your questions in the chat about anything. We've got one here from Drago. Favorite music genre or genre in America, because you idiots don't know how to say it.
Genre.
Band or artist.
Genre.
You leave that Barcelona loving scumbag out of this. So yeah, you answer that. I'm going to go and have a look and see if Aubameyang came on for Barcelona. Last I looked, they were 2-1 up. Oh, they drew 2-2.
I would say what we call our alternative / grunge. That's it's weird because my favorite songs and artists are much softer than that. But I mean, I anything that came out of Seattle, just about Rage Against the Machine, System of a Down is probably my favorite of all of them. I could listen to them all day, all night.
I'd rather die.
Well, so we're not going to play them at your funeral then. But
holy fuck. We're going to play the Monkees at my funeral.
When you die, are you going to that graveyard that you tried to kill me in?
You're not allowed to be buried there anymore because it's it's a very, very, very old. We've got a new graveyard. That's where George's mum and dad are. They're in the new one. That's where Adam, my mate, Gooner, he was only 31, heart attack. No,
the one you used to sit on the bench with.
Yes, that's it, Adam.
Oh no, the bench was named after him.
It was. So I'm having one of those benches, and then when I die, I'm cremated and have my ashes put into the cakes.
Russ asked if I liked the Offspring. I did back, like, they were good. I bought one. There was this like CD club in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s before CDs and DVDs got extinct, but called Columbia House, where you could get like 40 CDs. As long as you kept buying them, you could get like 40 CDs for the price of 10. And I bought a ton of them. And early to mid 90s, when I was in and graduating college, I got the Offspring and I liked it, but they were only a few songs deep for me. System of a Down's 20 to 30 songs deep. Alice in Chains, anything with Chris Cornell, including Soundgarden, including Audioslave, that's my shit. And then on the flip side, I love me some Billy Joel and some James Taylor and Elton John, not bad. Saw Billy Joel and Elton John in concert together. So you now answer the question.
Well, I have got a file.
Music, don't you?
I have a file. Shut up, man. I have a file on my PC. I mean, I've got a hard drive full of albums. There's probably 4,000 or 5,000 albums on there. And I've moved a load onto the PC. It was an external hard drive. And all the ones I've got. So I've got one called Third Base of all their stuff. And I've got another one just for 80s pop music. Tribe Called Quest, ABBA, Adele, that can be deleted. The Bee Gees Ultimate, Belinda Carlisle, Cyndi Lauper's 30th anniversary, De La Soul, Depeche Mode's box set.
De La Soul, I saw them in concert in 1990 in Brixton. We were the only white people there, and I'm not even kidding when I say that. That's not. I mean, there were four.
Don't explain yourself. You don't have to explain yourself.
4 Americans went to the American School of London at a De La Soul concert in Brixton, and it was a fantastic time. We loved it.
I've got electro albums 1 to 22. Eric B. and Rakim. This is all the discographies, not just one album. Eric B. and Rakim, Eurythmics, Everlast, Fine Young Cannibals, their first album. Go and get it. The Raw and the Cooked. Absolutely stunning. I love Genesis. I like the middle stuff and the late stuff, not the early stuff. Imagine Dragons. There's a couple of decent songs. I don't know anything about them. I'd heard a song, liked it, and went and got all the albums. Kid and Play. La Rue, her first album was amazing.
I style my hair after. Was it Kid or Play that had the haircut that looked like an eraser?
I have no idea. That's the tall one. Lana Del Rey, if I'm overthinking the topping myself. Now, this one might surprise you. Ludovic Einaudi. It is mainly violin music. It's very haunting.
See,
it's very good.
I can picture you just sitting around your house with classical music playing, like.
Yeah. The next one, Madness, the deluxe collection. Michael Jackson, Pet Shop Boys, Phil Collins, Prince, Public Enemy, Simon and Garfunkel's greatest hits, Sia, she's good, bit mental. Snoop Dogg, I went and got all of his albums. Take That, just some of their later stuff because it's good. Taylor Swift, her last 2 albums. The Greatest Showman, now that is a soundtrack. And then Prodigy, The Animals, 25, I don't know why I've got that. U2, and then another one that is really good, XYLO, Xylo. You asked.
A lot of the ones you've mentioned remind me that music was a big part of my life when I was living in London, actually. And there's a lot of those bands and a lot of songs that like kind of bring me back to those 2 years. Before that, I didn't really listen to a lot of music, and after that, I started. Once I got into university and started working and getting married and having kids and all that, music kind of fell out of my life a little bit. So those 2 years, I mean, the Fine Young Cannibals part. God, there were so many songs. Stevie Winwood, I used to listen to. Paul Young, I was a big fan of, and he one of the main songs that he did, he filmed the video.
He laid his hat.
Who?
He laid his hat somewhere.
Oh, well, he filmed the video for, I think, Every Time You Go Away or something like that. It was filmed in St. John's Wood, a block from where I lived. It was around the corner, and for like 6 months, they were fixing up this old house to look like a coffee shop or something. It's one of his big songs. I think it was that one they filmed about a block away from where we lived in St. John's Wood. So, yeah, Imagine Dragons. I like Divian's comment. Yeah, that one.
It's Divune. He said he's put it phonetically. Divune. Double O rather than a U.
I apologize.
Yes. Thunder says Kid has the eraser. No, Imagine Dragons, Divian. It was, I think someone was playing it, I thought, one with all the aliens in it, and then I went and got their album. The album's not that great, but that one song's good.
They're one of the bigger bands rather than individual artists. That's really, I guess, I mean, I go based off of what my kids listen to. My kids are 20 and 18, so over the last 7 or 8 years of listening to them, that's really kind of how I learn who's good right now. And Imagine Dragons is probably one of the bigger bands over the last 7 or 8 years that's come out.
So what I've done, there's this Ministry of Sound Electronica 80s. There's 3 of those albums. Each one is 4 CDs. Well, I'd imagine. I don't own a single bit of original music in the house. I mean, paid for. It's all stolen. And for me, music is much like making sweet love to a beautiful lady and eating cake. After about 20 minutes, I want to do something else.
So Mr. Waffle says that he saw Tool live last night. Now, Tool, I mean, again, when I was in college 25 years ago, no, it wasn't 25 years ago, 20 years ago. No, it was 30 years ago. Shit. God damn, I'm old. 30 years ago. Tool, I mean, Sober by Tool is one of the best songs I've ever heard in my life, but they're still touring and they're still good. I had no idea. Honestly, no idea. How can you like Rick Astley? Is that real? That he likes
I don't like him. The only time I want to see Rick Astley is when
Brixton Academy was excellent. Oh, and Duran. My wife and I see we're doing a callback now because someone mentioned something about the Quebecers being nasty people, unlike the rest of Canadians. I love the city of Quebec, and we went to Quebec a couple summers ago, and there was some music festival that was going on there, and our hotel hooked us up with wristbands for it for the final day, and it was Duran was the main event, and that was something else. My sister used to have posters of Roger Taylor and Simon Le Bon on her wall growing up. She was so into Duran. Like, it was scary how much she was into them.
So how many concerts you been to?
Me?
Yeah. Well, you're the only one here.
Wow.
The voices in my head telling me to kill everyone.
Probably 25 to 30. Not like, it's not something I do frequently, and it's been a long, long time. First concert I ever went to was Shit, what's the name of the band with Violent Femmes? And it was at the gym at the University of Virginia where I was about to get ready to go to, and I went. My sister was down there, and she took me to it, and that was the first time I saw not breakdancing, slam dancing, like mosh pits and stuff. I was completely thrown by it, but that was my first one. And
my first one was I went to see Ice-T at the Cambridge Corn Exchange. Me and Rob, we went up there in a yellow Triumph Herald convertible that didn't drive properly.
Was that in his "fuck the police" days, or was that when he was?
This was 1980. No, 90. Actually, I got my car in 91, so it would probably be in 89, 90, something like that. Didn't enjoy it.
The worst concert I ever went to.
Well, there you go. There's a good one.
I was in college, and I went to see. Who was? I don't remember the name of the band. I remember the name of the song. It was "If You Want Something for You." So go ahead now. I don't remember. Someone in the chat helped me out, but they were really hot at the time. They had this weird looking guy with like curly red hair or something.
Was that Blink?
Thank you. Spin Doctors came to UVA. They played in the basketball arena. I thought it was going to be great. It was boring. Someone was crowd surfing and fell and broke her neck, and they had to stop the concert for half an hour, which isn't their fault. But it was. I left at that point because I had no interest in once things got back up going again. It was the worst concert I've ever seen in my life. So showmanship, I think, is equally as important as Spine Doctors. Now, when you wrote Spine Doctors, did you hear my story about the person falling on their neck? Because that would have been helpful for her if they were the Spine Doctors.
Weren't the Go-Go Dolls is that Belinda Carlisle's?
Well, no, the Go-Go's is Belinda Carlisle. Goo Goo Dolls is someone else.
But the best concert I ever went to was I went to see Prince at the O2 twice. My mate Barry was the bass guitarist with Smile with Freddie Mercury before they became Queen, and he left Smile just before they become Queen because he didn't like the direction the music was going in. And that's Barry, who I took to loads of games. Still speak to him. So I took him to it.
Best concert I ever went to was I can't remember band names, but they sung Cult of Personality. And we were like in the second row, just behind where they would put the people down who crowd surfed to the front, and there was a gap between the stage and the front so that no one could do that. But the hell was their name? Cult of Personality.
You got a computer in front of you, and that has access to every question and answer ever in the history of the known and unknown universe.
Is that what the internet does? Yeah, but I knew Cult of Personality. Oh, Live in Color. Yeah, Live in Color.
Oh, there you go.
The two different spellings of it from Drago, Russ, and Devune. And CM Punk does come out to that. We're going to talk about wrestling another time because Danny and I keep forgetting how I always thought from the Bergkamp Wonderland originals that Chris was the wrestling guy. But Danny can hold his own. It's just there's about a 15-year gap.
Yes.
Between 2007 and 2022, or maybe it's a 20-year gap of what Danny paid attention to. We'll probably get some guests on for that one. Maybe we'll do it just before WrestleMania.
I should be watching that. And we got Mark's asked a question about other sports, but Don One has asked your favorite 5 songs ever. Now, if you put a gun to my head, I don't listen to much music. My favourite song is Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones. I could not tell you the lyrics to it. And then Phil Collins, the one where it sings Let It Rain Down on Me. And then I like Prince's Little Red Corvette. Yeah, because apparently I love that song. My mate told me, Anna said, that's about a prostitute, don't you?
I mean, once a song is about a prostitute, it doesn't really matter whether the people can play their instruments or sing well or anything like that. It becomes one of the greatest songs ever. I always answer the question about my favorite song. It's Imagine by John Lennon. But like it doesn't
music people will hate you for that.
Listen to it all the time. Like I don't listen to it that much. I just, if someone had to, ask me that, that's what it would be.
Oh, look, there's Canadian Jeff. I was talking about you, Jeff, saying that you sent me a 20-minute WhatsApp message, and it made me smile and made my day because, in the words of the James Rowe Stokes, you beautiful bastard.
So, yeah, my favorite song would be Imagine from John Lennon. Thinking of 5 would be useless because I don't think I could do it. I rather listen to a variety of different things. So, got some more questions starred. I see you've got a few things starred there.
Yeah, we got so that was Don Ones. Didn't do that justice. Sorry, Don. Mark Backridden, a friend of everyone, says, "What other sports are you guys into?"
Danny, you go first on this one.
It used to be UFC, MMA, and UFC. I first started watching that back when George's friend was dating an American at RAF Falconbury, and he gave me UFC 1, 2, 3, 4 on NTSC video, and I really got into it. And then I went and bought all the others, and then I watched it all up until about 4 or 5 years ago when the UFC went, "Hey, all other organisations, we're going to buy all of your organisations, and we're going to have a roster of 40,000 people." And then it just became money. And then just like Premier League football, like cup finals and really important games, like they not losing is more important than winning, and that's the way UFC has headed, where you'll see 2 people in there dancing around. Hardly anybody apart from John-Jules will go in there and try and destroy the other people, and there's no real characters in it anymore. And so I very rarely watch it. All the ones I do like no longer fight, or they've gone off to fight for what is the other one?
Bellator.
Bellator, yeah, they've all buggered off there.
There's a big fight last night. Israel, who I support Israel Adesanya for obvious reasons, but no,
because you like lasagna.
Yeah, I do. I like women named Sonia.
How about right backs?
You mentioned Alconbury. That brought back memories. They were one of we would play them in football and wrestling. Our high school in the American School of London would go to Alconbury. They would go to American air bases. They would go to Lakenheath. Used to drive. Lakenheath was a base full of 16-year-olds who looked like they were 40 or 35 in their prime. They were. I mean, and I was I spent a year on the wrestling team because they needed people, and trust me, I was 5'11" and under 10 stone. I was 135 pounds at that time when I was 17, 18 years old. No, 16, 17 years old. So I decided to get into wrestling. Trained. My first match, I won. And then I didn't win again for the entire rest of the season. I went like 1 win and about 15 or 16 losses. But you would go to Lakenheath and you'd see the opponent. Now, they do it by weight class. So it's not like I was fighting like me now or an athletic version of me now. I was fighting someone else who was 135 pounds. But it was 135. The guy would be like 5'6" and like walk like this. And yeah, that wasn't fun. But yeah, Alconbury, that brought it back. My second favorite sport behind football is, where was I today, Danny?
You were at the ice hockey, boy, watching the Washington non-Native American logo people, the Washingtons. I don't know. Maple Leafs.
No. Is
it Kings?
If you haven't been to a proper ice hockey game, and I'm not talking about the one that they play at Alley Pally or Gillingham or any of that stuff.
I will never go because I can't see. I've tried. I can't see the ball.
I'm talking about NHL. It is fantastic in person, and it's so much better in person than it is on TV. Unlike American football,
rubbish.
NHL is fantastic, and if you're a Kroenke fan, you've got a team to support there because the Colorado Avalanche are currently in first place, the best team in the entire NHL. His Nuggets are doing well. The Rams are in the Super Bowl. Does he own any other teams?
No, can't think of any. Oh yeah, the lacrosse one.
Does he have any?
No.
Oh yeah, these guys. I forgot.
No, incorrect.
Who's Dimitrov?
Yeah. Formula One. I have been watching watched virtually every Formula One race from 1985-ish, maybe, give or take a few, and then up to the era of when Red Bull were cheating and winning 4 titles in a row. That nearly killed it. And then Mercedes cheating with all their wins in a row, because they are cheating. Everyone knows they're cheating. It's just they've got enough people behind them to get away with it. And if when I make the point that I say that if everybody had the same car as Lewis Hamilton, he would never win a world title, because he is by far the greatest team. Much like if everybody had the same car as Vettel wouldn't have won 4 titles in a row.
I don't get F1. I just really don't get Formula One. I don't understand NASCAR, any of that stuff. I mean, it's impressive to watch. It's impressive to watch, but I just and the funny thing to me, and I know I'm absolutely just going against what so many people in here probably think, but they love the car. They're like, oh, I've been Ferrari for 15 years. Oh, why? What did Ferrari ever do for you? I mean, like, why are you Mercedes or Ferrari or something? I mean, if you have a Ferrari, then I get it. But
I have a Mercedes and I can't stand them.
Well, there you go. I have a topical question for you. I have a feeling I know the answer, but it's topical, it's timely. And
you give me that question. My second favourite sport is British touring cars. Magnificent.
What is it?
And I like the Gordon Shedden, Jason Plato, and Matt Neal. And I also like the bloke who's just won 2 titles in a row. Is it Matt? Oh, what's his name? Fuck it. Anyway, whatever his name is, I should know because I watch it all and I love it. It is the greatest motorsport in the world by a country mile. When you get to race 3 of the day and they are going, fuck it, and they know all the cars are going to do another race, they smash into each other. And you get Brands Hatch, short circuit, last race of the day. Woo, mama. Go on.
Are you watching the Winter Olympics?
Oh, my fuck. I do like some of it, but because it's in China and it's on at odd times, it's not like I didn't watch any of the Olympics either. It's just I don't watch telly anymore unless I go onto BBC iPlayer.
What time does it
have a TV license?
It's on here from about 8 p.m. because it's 13 hours behind here, so it's on from 8 p.m. till about like live stuff. It's on throughout the day, but it's all from the night before, so it's already been spoiled. So 8 p.m. to about 10 a.m. So over there it would be 1 a.m. to 3 p.m., which for you is perfect. No, that's when you sleep. So, all right. So anyway, so you're not watching the Olympics. I mean, the UK, they had a couple. They have a couple of athletes. There's not really a huge thing for them. But my new favorite thing ever is snowboard cross. It's basically like motocross, where you have a bunch of motorcycles racing and they're in very tight spaces and stuff, but it's 4 people going on a course side by side, and then they all and then the side by side ends and they're all basically jockeying for position down an incredibly fun looking, if I could even come close to snowboarding, a course that has
they're all linked together.
Yeah, there's turns and jumps and tight turns and moguls and stuff, and they
have you been doing acid again? Because that makes no sense. You just made that sport up.
No, it's fantastic. Snowboard cross is the best. It's been like going on for the last 3 or 4 days, and the Americans actually did quite well. The American women and the mixed, but they do a men's, women's, and it's so great. And the crashes are awesome. Like when you get too close to the person in front of you, and they would just go down. One person crashed as soon as he got out of the gate. It was I replayed it and watched it 8 times. It was hilarious. But snowboard cross is my new favorite event, other than ice hockey at the Olympics. It's fantastic.
We've got time for some more questions.
Game starts in about 10 minutes, so I've got about 10 minutes.
Excellent. Right. James Stokes from ABW says, as the content is undetermined, would you like to discuss how unbelievably shit awful the new Matrix movie is? It still annoys me now. I downloaded it. No, I didn't. I went to Blockbusters and hired it and then took it back without watching it. So you put me off of watching it.
I tend to not enjoy sci-fi type stuff. I just don't. I mean, I actually never watched the original Matrix. I certainly wasn't going to watch this Matrix. I do. We can save this topic for another show. But the shows you binge on Netflix. See, there's so many things to talk about. Why anyone would want to listen to what our answers are, I don't know. But this is, like you said right before we went on the air, this is a vanity project. This isn't. There are 46 people watching, so that's 45 more than I thought there would be. I thought it would just be Drago.
Well, there is 3 people watching on Twitch as well. And if you are on Twitch, hello. I love Twitch. Sci-fi is my favourite genre of film. I have watched some right turds. You
don't love the rom-coms? You don't watch Notting Hill and other Hugh Grant films?
No, I'd possibly watched Notting Hill. I don't remember watching it, but I'm sure I have done at one point. Oh, hello, Ryan. Afternoon, Governor. And our Nick is there. He's been doing his own podcast. Loki says The Matrix is poop. Yes, so
I don't watch any of those Marvel or any of those comic movies, the Batman, Spider-Man. I don't watch any of that stuff. Sorry. Nerds.
Don one.
Nerds. Got your ass whipped by a bunch of
torrent them. I used Torrent Day, which is probably one of the best sites out there. No, I don't use any. I don't know what I was talking about there. Silly me. We've got another question here from Divyun. Says, is Eurovision supposed to be a serious singing contest, or is it some form of meta comedy that us non-Europeans don't understand? It is an expression
into that. British people.
I love the Eurovision Song Contest.
They're doing it here now.
I watch it every year.
They're doing it in the States now. They're making it. They're calling. They've just debuted, or they're starting to talk about over the summer, the Great American Song Contest or something like that, and it's state versus state. So it's. I mean, they're not trying to hide it, but it's basically Eurovision brought to the States, and I can't wait to see what the song from Mississippi and from Texas are. Like, it's going to be some guy on a banjo with it's going to be the most ridiculous thing. You can't copy something like Eurovision. But last year's Eurovision, all of my WhatsApp chats and Twitter timelines were going crazy over it. Is it really that good?
It is interesting. I do like it because it just shows how much everybody hates the UK. They can't stand us. We get nil point from almost everybody.
I saw that you got those countries. 0 point, and the song wasn't bad, but you got zeros across the board. It was
well, it's partly because it's a political thing with voting. Even Ireland don't give us dues points anymore.
Brexit, that people in Europe would have bad feelings about the UK.
That's a lot to do with it because we left. And so, but I watch it. I like it for its entertainment value, much like I watch NFL, although I do understand the rules. And I did have questions for Shredder. I said, why can't you get the ball and throw it through the H? He said, you don't like to do that. I said, can you get the ball and throw it backwards? He said, no.
Wait, what? Throw it through what H?
The goal thing, the H. What's that called?
H. I mean, I know what H is, but it's not a H either. It's got one. And then it's more of a Y than a
H.
Yeah. It's a straight Y.
Why can't you throw it through that?
Oh, you know what? Okay, the old-fashioned ones were H's. I'll give you that. Now they're like Y's. And throwing it through that, you can throw it through that if you want.
But it doesn't count as a score, does it?
No, it doesn't count. But you can do it.
Why doesn't it?
You aren't going to get kicked out of the game if you do it.
Yeah, but why can't it have it as a score? Like they do in Aussie rules. You can, as long as you get it through the H, through the Y, that's all that matters.
Because, well, you can't throw it. You can't throw it through the thing in Aussie rules either.
Can't you?
I think you have to kick it through or run it through.
I never watched the game. I wouldn't know.
And it's a much, much bigger pitch as well. But I mean, I don't know. Throwing it through, there'd be no reason to throw it through that. I don't. It'd be funny though. What I think should happen though is I think when you kick the ball off, normally you will get it into the end zone, you'll get it out of the end zone. But if you kick it through the H, as you call it, I think that should be worth like a point or half a point or something like that.
Why can't you throw it backwards?
You can throw it backwards.
So why don't they?
For what purpose?
Well, you're about to get your arms and legs. You're about to become a paraplegic. Throw it backwards, and they'll leave you alone.
The part of football, of American football, that is very much like rugby is you can absolutely pass the ball backwards at any time and any point, anywhere on the pitch, even if you've already passed the ball forward. It's called a lateral, but if it isn't caught by your teammate, it's a live ball and it's a fumble essentially. Passing the ball backwards is not the same as passing it forward. There are no incomplete backwards passes. If you pass it backwards and it drops to the ground, it's a live ball, and that's why you don't see it more often. It's a very risky play, but you see it every once in a while. You'll see it sometimes on a trick play where the quarterback will pass it back to the wide receiver, and because it's a back pass, the wide receiver still has the ability to pass it forward.
Is a wide receiver like a wing back or winger?
Sometimes you even see the quarterback throw it to a wide receiver backwards, and then because no one's paying attention to him, the quarterback goes out, and the wide receiver throws it back to the quarterback. And you know who made that play famous in the Super Bowl a few years ago?
Dan Marino.
Philadelphia.
There we go.
So there's where we go full circle to all those Eagles fans.
So can you throw it twice, though? Can you throw it to your mate and he throw it to someone else?
You cannot throw it forward twice. And you can't throw it forward past the line of scrimmage. In other words, if you're at the 45, the play starting at the 45-yard line, you can only throw it forward one time, and you can only throw it forward one time behind the line. But you can throw it backwards as many times as you want. And at the end of games where teams are desperately trying to get a touchdown with zero time left on the clock, you see these ridiculous plays where they're throwing it back, they're lateraling it backwards 5, 6, 7 times to try to get through the defense, but it rarely works.
Well, I watched both the semi-finals, and the Rams nearly lost in the semi-final, didn't they? Because that other team come all the way back, and then what was it? The other one, not the other, the Bengals semi-final.
That was
where the Bengals are winning.
Kansas City Chiefs, and that was they came back from I think 21-3, and came back and won in the second half, which was a colossal
overtime.
That was a colossal collapse from Kansas City. Yeah, Kansas City had them in that game. They were dominant, and they somehow lost it. Will the U.S. win the World Cup in my lifetime? Normally, I would say yes, but if this diet I'm on right now doesn't work, I'm probably got one more World Cup in my lifetime, and they're not going to win in Qatar. So
the USA will never, ever, ever win the World Cup. Never going to happen. Much like an African team, never going to happen.
I think an African team could win it before the U.S. does.
Never going to happen because they're not good enough. They haven't got enough quality. If they have a few, like you look at the Gabon,
there's not enough quality
player like Aubameyang, and no one else.
Quality and depth.
Yeah, you need that.
Yeah, Senegal's got some amazing players, and Egypt's got some amazing players to where they got into the final of the AFCON. But they're 4 deep, 5 deep, and in the World Cup when you're going against Germany and when it's coming home. As it will be in about 11 months? No, 9 months, 10 months. You can't just have 4 good players and the rest of them are crap. So, yeah.
Phil says, did Alba play come on the 62nd minute and they ended up 2-2, and Espanyol, I think they were playing 2 players sent off, right? One of them went full Martinelli, got a double yellow, and then Barcelona had 1 sent off near the end as well. Do you think we should wrap this up now by asking people for the first time ever in the history of a Bergkamp Wonderland or the Gooners podcast, because this is a joint venture? Predictions in the chat for your scores, people. Good luck. Yeah.
Let's see it. And if anyone gets it exactly right, we'll do another show next Sunday night. And
I'm going to go 4-4 draw.
Yeah,
you say when's the next one? Well, the next one is next Sunday if you want. I've got fuck all to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, next Sunday. Yeah, I'll be visiting my son's future university on Friday night. We get home on Saturday night. So yeah, Sunday 10 p.m. We'll do it again. There's so many good suggestions here. I mean, we could talk about the Olympics again. We could talk about anything else. There was something
you ran out of ideas.
That I
we could have dieting ideas because We could talk diets because we're both on a diet, but my diet is just don't eat food. That's it. I've had 2 tins of soup today, and that'll be it.
Yeah, I have lost, not to jinx it, but I started my diet 11 days ago, and I've lost 17 pounds.
So I don't know how much I weigh, and I haven't got a target. I just don't eat crisps and sweets and chocolate. And
I have 150 pounds left to go, which is the tough part. But yeah, so far so good.
Ray Anderson says 17-14 to the Rams, probably. Nick says 148.
He's using the home team first. It's funny because the Rams are actually the away team today.
Okay, maybe Ray meant 14 for the Rams, 17 for the Bengals. Mark is saying Rams 34, Bengals 16. And Michael is saying Rams 18, the Bengals 24. Loki's going 0-0 draw, decided on penalties and golden goal. Don 1, 2-2 draw. Divion has seen it because it's Monday in India.
I love you, Divion. That was really nice of you.
And Ray says, the Rams. So Ray is saying the Rams are going to win 17-14. And Drago is saying, I have no idea how big scores go. Nick has gone the Bagels 32, the Cronkies 3.
We just talk about how I'm on a diet, and you're talking about bagels now. Thank you.
Bagels, I put them in a bin. Next,
how did Canada do in their second game in the group stage? Let me ask you that.
Was that the one where they froze their art? No, that was someone else. Dublin Goon has gone Dr. Dre 12, Eminem 4.
They lost to the United States. That's how they did.
Yeah, but you make people play when it's minus 200 degrees. It's like playing on the surface of Io. It's so cold.
No. Well, I thought he was talking about hockey in the Olympics, which is what he was talking about. And yes, they lost to the U.S. That they did actually beat us in the World Cup qualifying, which was embarrassing.
Oh, there you go. Right, people. We've got to go. I'll be watching the Super Bowl. We won't do a watch along because we're not. Because I would just be me swearing a lot, going, what is this? And I'll have Chatterbait on in the other window, and I'll probably get carried away and share the wrong bit.
Let's talk about our favorite World Cups next week.
We can talk about absolutely anything. These lot come back. You lot make the agenda, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I like this name. Brady's Banana. Abandoned. Truckers will play a block. Hey. What's the word that is banned on Facebook? Is it honk? What a great way to end a podcast. I'm not going to have the usual backdrop, Mike. So we need to do something like this. You do one. There you go. That's our thumbnail. If that doesn't get people interested, nothing will. Mike, where can these beautiful bastards find your wonderful offerings to the world of internet podcasting?
You can go to @theGoonersPod on Twitter. You can go to the Gooners Podcast on YouTube, which you can also get to just by typing in goonersubscribe.com, and then you get to us. Go to Gooners versus Cancer as well, goonersvcancer.com, and check out the incredible prize that we are currently accepting raffle entries for. And we'll talk about wrestling closer to WrestleMania, I think, which is not that far away. We can't do it during WrestleMania because I'll be in London then.
And I'll be at it. I'll be coming on as wrestler number 43, even though it's not the Royal Rumble.
You're flying to Dallas.
Yeah.
All right. So this has been fun. I look forward to next week. And thank you to the chat for participating, interacting, and providing us things to talk about. I think this format might actually work.
You never know. It might do, or it might have to be put down with a. We'll have to get Kurt Zuma to put us down with a swift kick to the testicles.
The show could end up just devolving into a 20-minute voice note from OG to you and just putting it on the air. We could end up getting to that in a few weeks when we run out of things to talk about. But anyway,
I'm a cat person, people.
Fun.
Yes, and we will see you. Oh, but ABW's back on Wednesday with so far me and Josh, and I don't know who else. And then we're back for the preview show on Saturday, and then a post-game show on Saturday as well. So thank you very much, everybody, and we will see you later. Goodbye. Cronky out.